every footballing nation dreams of playing at the World Cup, but that opportunity doesn't always come for all. But well, that's one good thing about the new expanded tournament. It has made it such that more countries than ever before can now experience World Cup football. This year, quite a number of teams have returned to the big stage for the first time in a long time, while some others are having their first ever taste of World Cup football. Who are some of these guys? You'll find out in this video today. These are the 10 longest World Cup absences that have ended this year.
Hey fam, this is your chance to build the jersey collection you've been waiting for. The Goal 90 bundle deal is live. Buy 2 jerseys and get 10% off. Buy 3 and get 15% off. Buy 4 and get a massive 25% off. Club kits, country kits, retro classics, pick your favourites and save big. And yes, every order comes with free worldwide shipping. The deal runs only until the end of May. Goal 90 bundle deal. Buy more, save more. Shop now at Goal 90 Shop.
We'll start with Norway. The Scandinavian country qualified for the World Cup in style, winning all 8 of their games, scoring 37 goals, and topping a group that had 4-time world champions Italy. They flew so high in the qualifiers that you may find it hard to believe that this is their first time in the World Cup in the 21st century. The last time Norway was at the World Cup was in 1998, which means that they have just ended a 28-year wait to return to the biggest stage. But well, considering they're now in their golden generation led by Erling Haaland and Martin Ødegaard, we're not very surprised that they are finally back among the big boys. It is where they belong. But not only are they back despite having been drawn in the group of death, a lot of fans and pundits are tipping them to cause some real trouble at this tournament. And in that same group we have Iraq, who have also just ended a very long World Cup absence. This is their first time playing at the World Cup since 1986, which means that they have just ended a 40-year wait to feature in this competition. It seems like there's just something about a North American World Cup that makes them come alive. But the road was not easy for them at all. They were one of the last teams to qualify, officially doing so on the 31st of March via the Inter-Confederation playoffs. They defeated Bolivia in the final to secure a place at this year's World Cup. The other team that qualified through the Inter-Confederation playoffs was DR Congo, and they too just ended a very long absence from the World Cup. In fact, until this year they had never gone to the World Cup as DR Congo. The last time they were here was in 1974, 52 years ago now, and back then they were known as Zaire. Since then, they had never been able to return to the big stage, whether as Zaire or as DR Congo. But now, after 52 long years, they are back, and they had to fight for it. They finished second in their qualifying group behind Senegal and then had to beat Cameroon in normal time, Nigeria on penalties, and Jamaica in extra time in order to get here. So, when you see a lot of emotion on the faces of the players and the fans, you know why. They've had to wait so long and fight so hard to be here. But as for Cabo Verde, this is the first time ever they are at this stage. They are a relatively young country and only started to play World Cup qualifiers ahead of the 2002 edition. And well, after 6 unsuccessful attempts, they are finally here, and they intend to make a big statement. In fact, they already started to make that statement when they became only the 6th African nation to secure automatic qualification to this year's tournament, doing so at the expense of giants Cameroon. So perhaps you could argue that even without the expanded format, Cabo Verde would still be at this World Cup. Another first-timer at this tournament is Uzbekistan. And you know what's crazy? Hosts aside, they were only the 5th nation to secure qualification for this World Cup, so you can say that they have already started to make a huge statement. Uzbekistan has been a FIFA member since 1992, but they had never been able to make it to the World Cup until this year. Well, after 7 unsuccessful attempts, they finally made it here in style, and this time they have one of the best young defenders in the world in Abdulkadir Kusanov to help them in their quest to have a historic debut. For Haiti though, it is not quite a debut, but it must surely feel like one, as they had not played at the World Cup since the 1974 edition, 52 years ago now. Before 2026, that was the first and only time they had ever featured at the World Cup, and they crashed out in the group stage, finishing with no win, no draw, 2 goals scored and 14 goals conceded. Now, not many people are giving them a real chance to make it out of their group this time either, but they'll surely be looking to do better than they did 52 years ago. Another team that will be looking to do better than the last time they were here is Austria. The last time they were here was in 1998, which means that they had been away for 28 years. For a nation like Austria, that's a long, long time. For those who don't know about Austria's rich footballing history, this is a nation that has finished in 4th and 3rd place at the World Cup. They were regulars in the competition between the late 70s and late 90s, only missing out on only 2 of the 6 editions between 1978 and 1998. But after 1998, everything seemed to collapse. They tried and tried but just weren't able to qualify no matter how close they came. Well, they're finally back. And like we said, they'll now be hoping to do better than the last time they were here. In 1998, they failed to win any game and crashed out in the group stage. This year, they'll be hoping they can return to the knockout rounds for the first time since 1954. But as for Turkey, if they can repeat what they did the last time they were in this competition, it would be a dream tournament for them. This is the first time Turkey is at the World Cup since 2002, which means that they've just ended a 24-year absence. For a nation with a very rich football culture, that was surely a very long time to be away from the biggest competition in the world, and you can see how happy they are to be back among the elite, as was evidenced in the grand send-off the team was given. As we said, 2002 was the last time Turkey was at the World Cup, and guess what? That year they finished in 3rd place. They were beaten in the semi-finals by eventual winners Brazil by 1-0 and went on to defeat host South Korea in the 3rd place playoff to earn their only World Cup medal till date. That was really a dream run. And this year, after a 24-year absence, they'll be hoping they can have another dream run. Another big football nation ending a long World Cup absence this year is Scotland. This is their first World Cup of the 21st century. The last time they were here was in 1998, 28 years ago, making it the longest they have ever gone without qualifying for the World Cup. You see, Scotland did not miss a single World Cup tournament between 1974 and 1990, qualifying for every single one of the 5 editions during that period. They missed the 1994 tournament in the US, but they bounced right back to qualify for France '98. Since then though, they tried and tried, but were never able to qualify for the World Cup until this year, and having missed the last World Cup that was played in the US, they were determined not to miss this one, so they locked in and finished top of their qualifying group ahead of Denmark and Greece. Led by Scott McTominay, Scotland will now be aiming to reach the knockout rounds at the World Cup for the first time in their entire history. Finally, Curaçao are in the World Cup for the first time in their entire history this year. They had never previously qualified for the World Cup, not as the territory of Curaçao, not as the Netherlands Antilles, and not as Curaçao. But everything changed this year, and nobody gave them a chance when they were drawn in a qualifying group with Jamaica, but they avoided defeat in all of their 6 games and secured automatic qualification as group winners. They will now be hoping they can make a big impression on the world stage in their World Cup debut. Anyway, it is now time to hear from you guys. Which of these debutants or returnees are you most excited to see at this World Cup? Which of them do you think will go the furthest at this tournament? Which of these teams has the biggest shocker loading for us? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.